We're going to explore how you can clear blockages from your life using some powerful principles. These principles are rooted in the science of how our minds and bodies work, and they're not just theories, but practices that can transform your reality. Let's start by understanding the core concept. Our mind and body are deeply connected. The mind is a powerful tool that shapes our reality, but it's not just about thinking positively. It's about changing the way you experience life at the deepest level. This transformation requires us to understand and harness the power of our thoughts and emotions. When you apply these principles, you're not waiting for your circumstances to change first. You're changing yourself to align with your desired outcomes. So, how do we begin? First, let's talk about the nature of blockages. Blockages are not just physical or external. They are deeply rooted in our emotional and mental states. They can be old beliefs, past traumas, or negative thought patterns that keep us stuck. These blockages prevent us from living our fullest lives and achieving our goals. To clear these blockages, we must start with a clear intention. An intention is more than just a wish or a desire. It's a powerful vision of what you want to create in your life. Ask yourself, what would it be like to be free of these blockages? Or, what would it feel like to live without this limitation? When you ask these questions, you're setting a clear intention. You're creating a vision of a future where these blockages are gone. Now let's dive deeper into the process of clearing blockages. The first step is to cultivate a clear vision of what you want. This is crucial because having a clear vision helps you see where you want to go and guides you on how to get there. Let's break it down into simple steps to make this process easier and more effective. Start by imagining what your life would be like without the blockages you currently face. Think about what you want to change and what your ideal life looks like. If you're struggling with confidence, for example, picture yourself in different situations where you act with self-assurance. Visualize yourself speaking up in meetings, making decisions with ease, and feeling good about yourself. The more vividly you imagine these scenes, the more real they will become to your mind. If your goal is to heal from a past trauma, visualize yourself living a life that is free from the pain of that trauma. Imagine waking up each day feeling light and happy, enjoying moments with loved ones, and pursuing activities that bring you joy. Picture yourself moving through life without the weight of past hurts holding you back. The clearer you can make this vision, the more it will help in transforming your reality. To make your vision even more powerful, add as much detail as possible. Think about how you would feel in your ideal situation. What emotions would you experience? How would your body feel? What would you be doing? Try to engage all your senses in this visualization. Imagine the sounds, sights, smells, and feelings of this new reality. The more detailed and immersive your vision, the more effective it will be in guiding you towards change. Let's take it a step further. Imagine yourself in specific scenarios where you're living your ideal life. For instance, if you want to be more confident, picture yourself walking into a room full of people. Visualize how you would hold your head high, make eye contact, and engage in conversation with ease. See yourself responding to challenges with calm and poise. The more you practice these mental images, the more your brain starts to accept them as possible. If healing from past trauma is your goal, think about how you would interact with others and handle situations without the burden of your past experiences. Visualize yourself in joyful moments with friends and family, fully engaged and present. Picture yourself taking steps towards new opportunities and feeling excited about the future. By focusing on these positive images, you start to rewire your mind and body to align with your desired outcomes. It's also helpful to write down your vision. Putting your thoughts into words makes them more concrete and actionable. Create a vision board or journal where you can outline your goals in detail. Include images, words, and descriptions that reflect your ideal life. Regularly review and update this vision to keep it fresh and inspiring. Next, let's talk about aligning your emotions with your vision. It's not enough to just think about what you want. You also need to feel it deeply. Feeling is a crucial part of making real changes in your life. When you start to truly feel what it would be like to live without your blockages, you're giving your body an emotional taste of the future. This emotional connection is key because your body needs to believe that the change has already happened. Imagine your vision clearly and then focus on how it feels. For example, if you want to be more confident, don't just think about being confident. Feel what it's like to be confident. Imagine how you would feel when you are confidently speaking in front of a group or making decisions without second-guessing yourself. Feel the pride and satisfaction that comes with acting confidently. If your goal is to heal from past trauma, picture yourself living a joyful and free life. Feel the lightness and happiness that comes with healing. Imagine the relief and peace you would experience without the weight of past pain. By connecting with these feelings, you give your body a chance to experience what life will be like once the change has occurred. Feeling these emotions is important because it helps your body start to change at a deeper level. When you deeply experience these feelings, your body starts to react as if the change is already happening. Your emotions send signals to your brain and body, and this helps to align them with your vision. Over time, your body begins to adapt and reflect these new feelings. Think of it this way. When you feel happy, your body releases chemicals that make you feel good. Similarly, when you feel confident, your body starts to adjust to that feeling. These emotional experiences help signal new genes and change your body's state, making it more in tune with your vision. But how do you make this feeling a reality? It requires a shift in how you live every day. Most people are defined by their past. They wake up every day with the same thoughts and feelings, which keeps them anchored to their past experiences. To create real change, you must start living from the vision of your future, not from the memories of your past. This means breaking free from old patterns. If you wake up feeling the same way every day, you're likely repeating past experiences. To change this, you need to make different choices. Choose to think differently. Choose to feel differently. The more you do this, the more your brain and body will start to align with your new reality. One of the biggest challenges is maintaining your vision and emotions in the face of your current circumstances. It's easy to let your present situation dictate your feelings and thoughts. But to clear blockages, you must remain steadfast in your vision, regardless of what's happening around you. This is where true greatness lies. It's about being defined by your future, not by your past. Now let's talk about the science behind this. Neuroscience and neuroplasticity show us that we can literally change our brains to look like the future we desire. When you practice these techniques, you're rewiring your brain. Your brain starts to reflect the experience of your future as if it's already happening. This is powerful because it means your brain and body can begin to prepare for and align with your desired reality. But changing your brain and body takes time and consistency. Just like if you were trying to heal from an illness, it wouldn't happen overnight. You need to continuously work on this process, stay consistent with your practices, and be patient. When you start to notice even small changes, that's a sign you're on the right path. These small changes are like catching a fish. Once you get that initial result, you'll be inspired to keep going with more passion and certainty. To make this practical, let's dive into meditation and how it can help you clear blockages in your life. Meditation is not just a relaxing activity, it's a powerful tool that can help you transform your reality. By practicing meditation, you can go beyond the limits of your current situation and connect with a higher level of consciousness. This higher state of consciousness is where real, lasting change occurs. It's where your mind and body come together to start reprogramming your entire system. When we talk about meditation, we often imagine sitting quietly with our eyes closed. While that's part of it, meditation is much more than that. It's about creating a space where you can go beyond the daily noise and stress and tap into a deeper part of yourself. This deeper part is where you find clarity and insight, and it's essential for clearing blockages that might be holding you back. So, how does meditation help you clear blockages? Let's break it down. Blockages can be anything from negative thoughts and emotions to past traumas or limiting beliefs. These blockages often keep us stuck in our old ways, preventing us from moving forward. Meditation helps by allowing you to step away from these blockages and view them from a different perspective. When you meditate, you are essentially training your mind to focus and relax. This process helps you become more aware of your thoughts and feelings. As you sit quietly and breathe deeply, you start to notice patterns in your thinking. You might see how certain thoughts or feelings are connected to the blockages in your life. By observing them without judgment, you can begin to understand and address them. One of the most important aspects of meditation is learning to get beyond your current reality. What does this mean? It means that during meditation, you can imagine a reality different from your present situation. If you're dealing with a blockage, such as fear or self-doubt, meditation allows you to visualize a future where these issues no longer exist. This visualization helps you start believing that a better reality is possible. In meditation, you're not just dreaming or wishing for change. You're creating a mental image of what you want and feeling it deeply. This process is important because the more real you make this vision feel, the more your mind and body start to accept it. Over time, this new vision begins to influence your actions and decisions, helping you move past the blockages. Meditation also helps in connecting with a higher state of consciousness. This higher state is a place where you are not limited by your daily worries or past experiences. It's like tapping into a source of wisdom and energy that guides you towards positive change. When you're in this state, you can better understand your true self and what you really want in life. In this higher state of consciousness, your mind and body start to work together in harmony. You may experience a feeling of unity where your thoughts and emotions align with your goals. This alignment is crucial for reprogramming your entire system. By consistently practicing meditation, you teach your mind and body to adopt new patterns that support your desired changes. Imagine your mind and body as a team working towards a common goal. When you meditate, you're helping this team focus on a new direction. You're setting clear intentions for what you want to achieve and letting go of old habits and limitations. This focused intention helps create a path for positive changes to occur. When you meditate, aim to get beyond your body and mind. Forget about your daily concerns, your identity, and your past experiences. Instead, focus on being pure consciousness. In this state, you're not limited by your current situation. You're connected to a greater consciousness where transformation is possible. This process of going beyond yourself can help you recondition your body and mind. If you're sick or struggling with a blockage, use meditation to get beyond the physical symptoms. This allows you to instruct your body from a place that's not bound by current limitations. It's like being a conductor of a symphony, guiding your body to harmonize with your vision of the future. The key to clearing blockages is consistency and commitment. You need to practice these techniques regularly and with sincerity. It's not just about doing a meditation once or twice, it's about making it a daily practice. Over time, your brain and body will start to reflect the changes you're working towards, and the blockage love to feed off emotions and feed off energy. And I've seen those too, because when a person finally gets beyond their suffering or whatever, they no longer can host on that person because they're no longer that emotion, that energy any longer. So then all of a sudden the person experiences a tremendous amount of freedom as well. And yeah, of course, now they're setting themselves up for something else. What I do know, though, is that our intention really is to connect to the divine. Our intention is to become divine. Our intention is to open our hearts and trust again, to love again. Our intention is to teach our bodies emotionally what our future could feel like, to trade guilt and shame and resentment and jealousy and envy and competition for love. And we practice that in our week-long events. And once this center begins to open up, we're after coherence. So if you have a coherent heart and you're able to manage that and sustain the heart coherence, the field around your body begins to expand up to 3 meters wide. And that frequency, that coherent frequency, is like a Wi-Fi signal. You got a signal now. And at the same time, once energy makes it to the heart and it goes to the brain, and you teach a person how to create a coherent brain and be able to suppress the mechanism of the thinking neocortex, the memory bank of the known self, teach a person how to operate from their limbic brain and tune that pineal gland into frequency and allow that pineal gland to lock into a frequency, now you have a Wi-Fi signal as well. And it can read information. And these beings, I was doing this event in Florida, in Amelia Island. It was an advanced event, advanced follow-up. And this is people that have done advanced workshops. And the event was called Dream Time, that were up from 11 at night till 8 in the morning for the mystical. And if you don't want to do the mystical, don't come. But I'm going to be messing with your sleep. And I stay up the entire night. I'm watching the entire audience. And we're keeping them between worlds, between wakefulness and sleep, in that theta realm. And many people have very profound transcendental experiences while we're doing it. And I was trying to think of a way to explain this to the audience. And I had just finished the morning. I hadn't done my meditation. So I went into my room, I sat up, I did my meditation, and then I laid down. And when I laid down, all of a sudden, I see this beautiful fractal pattern with my eyes closed in the room. And the moment I see that fractal pattern, I know that that's order. That's information, a packet, a standing wave of information, and I sense it. I see it with my eyes closed, and then it unfolds like it rolls out on this beautiful being standing right next to me, and I'm sitting there with my eyes closed, and I say, oh shit, like holy, like whoa, and I hear it laugh, and it sounds like a symphony, like a harmony. In fifth dimensional creation, you are not going anywhere to get anything. Fifth dimensional creation has nothing to do with going anywhere to get anything. Because if you combine a clear intention, a coherent thought, coherent brainwave pattern with a coherent heart, moving into that elevated emotion, thoughts are electric and feelings are magnetic. The magnetism of this center becomes the energy. The intention is carried on that energy, and now you are broadcasting a new signature into the quantum field. Now, if it's done properly and you understand the mechanics in fifth dimensional creation, you are not going anywhere to get anything. You are actually collapsing space and time, and you are drawing the experience to you. You are the vortex, because when there's a vibrational match between your energy and that potential that exists in the quantum field by tuning a radio dial, when you lock into that frequency, if you keep revisiting that energetic signature over again every single day, then you don't have to go anywhere and get it. The new job finds you. The new house actually finds you. The new relationship finds you because you are the vortex that's drawing the experience to you. My definition of creation is when I forget about me. I become nobody, no one, no thing, nowhere, and no time. I become pure consciousness, and the moment I reach that elegant moment of the generous present moment, all possibilities in the quantum field exist truly when our brain and body are in the present moment. Getting there is the work. So then, most people then create reality from what we call three-dimensional creation. Now, when you teach people how to take their attention off of matter, off of objects, off of a particle, and sense energy and sense space and pay attention to nothing, the moment they begin to open their focus, all of a sudden, their brain waves begin to change from beta to alpha. But not only just alpha, where the imaginary inner world starts to become more real, but very coherent brainwave patterns in alpha. So when you're under stress, you're trying to control that person, that thing that you're experiencing, your attention is shifting from one thing to the next. Turns out that each one of those things has a neurological network in the brain assigned to it because we've experienced it. So as you try to control all these things and your attention is shifting, you measure the brain. There's no coherency. The brain is very incoherent. Why is it important to have coherency? Well, because the moment you open your focus and the brain begins to acclimate, different compartments of the brain begin to unify. They begin to synchronize. And what syncs in the brain links in the brain. So when your brain is coherent, you're coherent. When your brain is incoherent, you are incoherent. The person, the maverick, who's willing to step out into the unknown, that unknown is the perfect place to create from, because only in the unknown can you create something new. And if you and I can become comfortable in that unknown place, then the best way to predict the future is to create it from that unknown place. Now, when people start crossing the river of change from the old self to the new self, because they're no longer thinking, acting, and feeling in the same way, there is literally a biological, a neurological, a genetic, a chemical death of the old self. And this dark night of the soul, this unfamiliar place, is the true value, the true step towards developing a new self. So then if we're leaving the old and we are creating the new, then the next most important question is, well, if I'm going to create a new self, what thoughts do I want to think? What behaviors can I plan? And as you begin to image and rehearse a new way of being, you are changing your brain and body neurologically and biologically. That's the neuroscientific model of mental rehearsal. Most of our thoughts and feelings come from our past experiences. They come from our memories. In fact, your brain is organized to reflect everything you know in your life. Your brain is a record of all the things you've learned and experienced to date. It's an artifact. And when you have an experience, when you're in the midst of an experience, all of your 5 senses plug you into the external environment. And as your brain is processing all of this vital sensory data, all of that information rushes back to the brain. And when it reaches the brain, it causes jungles of neurons to organize themselves into networks, to string into patterns, to reflect their interaction with their external environment. The moment those neurons organize into patterns, the brain makes a chemical, and that chemical is called a feeling or an emotion. And so experiences tend to create more long-term memories because it patterns or stamps or embosses networks of neurons into very specific patterns. And then the emotional quotient helps us to remember the event. So we learn something new intellectually. We also cause networks of neurons to form. I mean, the Nobel Prize laureate Kandel in the year 2000 found that when people learn just one bit of information, they doubled the number of connections in their brain from 300 connections to 2,600 connections. So if they didn't review that information or repeat it, the connections pruned apart. So we know then that learning semantic information begins to organize circuitry in the brain, and experiences enrich the brain. The end product of experience, of course, is the emotion, and it causes us to feel certain ways. You can remember where you were on 9/11. You can tell me who you were with, what time of day it was, what you were doing, because whatever you were seeing in that moment or hearing in that moment changed how you were feeling. And the moment you felt altered or you felt differently, significantly, your brain perked up and you paid attention to whatever caused that. And that event in and of itself is called a memory. So then most of our thoughts and feelings tend to be within the neural circuitry of the past and the emotions of the past chemically. So if you take a thought, thoughts are the language of the brain, and feelings are the language of the body, and how you think and how you feel creates a state of being. So if you combine a thought and a feeling, a thought and a feeling, a thought and a feeling, and you have a series of good thoughts that are connected to a series of good feelings, that cycle of thinking and feeling creates what's called an attitude. If you have a series of negative thoughts that are connected to some pretty bad feelings, you'll say you have a pretty bad attitude today. So if how you think and how you feel creates a state of being, your attitudes are just shortened states of being. You feel good in the morning, you feel bad in the afternoon. If you take an attitude, and you begin to string attitudes together, when you combine an attitude, you start to form what's called beliefs. Now, a belief is just a thought you keep thinking over and over again until you hardwire it in your brain. And because beliefs are based on past experiences, the very boundaries of our beliefs are how we feel. And so when our beliefs get challenged, it typically doesn't feel right. I know from the research that we've done that the redundancy of thinking and feeling and thinking over time, for example, a person has an insecure thought, then they feel insecure. The moment they feel insecure, they think more insecure thoughts. They fire and wire more circuits in their brain to feel more chemicals of insecurity, and then once they're feeling insecure, they think more insecure thoughts. And they do this over and over again. The redundancy and the repetition of that cycle over time conditions the body to subconsciously become the mind. Once the body becomes the mind, that's called a habit. It turns out that 95% of who we are by the time we're 35 years old are a set of habituations, unconscious thoughts, unconscious behaviors, unconscious emotional reactions that function like a subconscious computer program. So back to beliefs. An attitude are shortened states of being, and you combine them together then. Then a belief, then the cycle of thinking and feeling over time creates a subconscious state of being. I don't move past the word visualization because I think it kind of conjures up a little bit too much of a spiritual association. The word that's used in science is called mental rehearsal. In mental rehearsal, there's two types of mental rehearsal. There's what's called internal mental imaging, which means you're in the scene as the first person experiencing it. And then there's called external mental imaging, which is you're observing yourself in the scene. It turns out that when you are actually in the first person and not the third person, that action of rehearsing what you're doing produces the strong biological change. Now let's talk about this. You can take a group of people that have never played the piano before, and you can do a functional brain scan on them, and then you can teach them one-handed scales and chords, and they'll practice those chords 2 hours a day for 5 days. At the end of 5 days, they grow a whole new set of circuits on the opposite side of the brain. Well, that makes sense. You learn something new. Learning is making new synaptic connections. You get your body involved with some instruction. When you get your body involved, you're going to have a new experience. Experience enriches the brain. You pay attention to what you're doing. You've got to pay attention. You have to stay present. And if you repeat it over and over again, firing and wiring, you assemble new networks of neurons equal to your experience. Nothing new there, but you can take a group of people and you can have them close their eyes to a brain scan on them before the experiment. 5 days later, do a brain scan after. And for 2 hours a day, they mentally rehearse playing those scales and chords. At the end of 5 days, they grow the same amount of circuits in their brain as the people actually physically doing the exercise. So what's the relevance? Number one, when you're truly focused and you're truly paying attention, your brain does not know the difference between what's going on out there and what's going on in here. So the thought becomes the experience, and the brain looks like it's been playing the piano for the last 5 days, but they never lifted a finger. Now, from a biological standpoint, our brains are a record of the past. They're an artifact of everything we've learned and experienced to this moment. When we prime the brain to change its circuitry before the experience, now the brain is no longer a record of the past. It's now a map to the future. And so as we warm up those brain circuits, it's more easy for us to slip into a supernatural behavior. If you take those people and you set them from the piano, and they've never played the piano before, but they've been mentally rehearsing for the last 5 days, they'll play those scales and chords. Like magic, they just learned how to do it just by changing their internal state. Take a group of men, you can have them close their eyes, and for an hour a day mentally rehearse doing bicep curls over and over again, and they add an emotional component called harder, stronger, more intense, and they put themselves in that first-person internal mental image. At the end of 2 weeks, they have a 13.5 increase in muscle strength, and they've never performed the activity. Not only is the brain changed to look like the experience has already occurred, now the body has changed by thought alone. The body looks like it's been working out for the last 2 weeks, so then the power of mental rehearsal, of imaging, primes the brain and body to look like the future has already occurred. And when you set the extent of your limit, and you can image what you can do even further than what's normal, then you are stepping into the unknown. And of course, then your body is going to follow your mind because the experience has already happened. You know, the challenge behind all of this is that people have to understand that there is a journey that they have to take. In other words, 95% of who we are by the time we're 35 years old is a set of memorized behaviors, emotional reactions, beliefs, perceptions, attitudes, behaviors that function like a subconscious computer program. 95% of who we are is a habit, and it's programmed in the body to keep doing something so many times, the body knows now how to do it better than your brain. So if that's 95% of who we are, the body becomes the mind, and most of the time, people are unconscious.